leave one time?
No, there we go. All right, good evening, everybody. Today is April 12th, it's 7:30, it's the monthly meeting of the planning board. If everybody could stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, well, thank you very much. The first item on our agenda is Scenic Road Public Hearing, 71 Bullard Lane, after the fact filing for stone wall and gate. The applicants are unable to attend, so we're gonna walk through that quickly. And, oops. Yep, could you, yep. do the rest.
Town of Millis, Office of the Planning Board, notice of public hearing. Under the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 40, Section 15C, Scenic Roads. The Planning Board will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, April 12th, 2022, 7:30 PM in the Veterans Memorial Building, Room 229, 900 Main Street, Millis, on the after-the-fact application of John and Kathy Ash, 71 Bullard Lane, Millis, requesting written consent of Planning Board pursuant to the Scenic Road Rules and Regulations of the Town of Millis for removal of a portion of stone wall and gate construction at 71 Bullard Lane. A copy of the application is on file in the office of the town clerk and can be viewed at the Millis public website. Any person interested or wishing to be heard on the application should appear at the time and place designated. Richard Nichols, Chair.
All right, so what happened on this was that the resident at number 71 Bullard Lane opened up some of the stone wall to put a gate in so they could access their backyard because they have a garden back there. Unfortunately, the stone wall is under the scenic roads purview, and in order to do that, we're supposed to go ahead and get permission to do it. So they basically have gone after the fact and asked for the approval that they should have had before they started. Anyhow, they had a couple of letters from their neighbors, which, one which was from Peggy and Rick Spada at 52 Bullard Lane, said they had no objection to the gate. Another one was from the Alexander Burns, so that they said that they have improved the frontage of the property by putting in the gate. Another letter was from the Williams, which are at 67 Bullard Lane, same thing, that they said the gate is a nice aesthetic fit. Another one was from the Simpsons, who were at 75. They also thought that the gate was an improvement. And Mark and Audrey Sterling said the same thing, that they also approved that the gate was an improvement to the area. So they've submitted information and photos showing that what they did to the area. And that's in our, we would be able to vote on if that was indeed an improvement or is acceptable. So the stone wall itself, I did drive by, wasn't, it wasn't like a really good stone wall. It was a farmer's stone wall, so they're not all that great, and they did pull them back, and they should have gotten permission first. They didn't. Stuff happens, and they were asking for permission now to go ahead and do that. So, is there any comment from the board? Go ahead.
And
Josh.
just a quick question. So I understand logistically the process of moving retroactively. From a construction standpoint, I mean, if you've taken down what's considered scenic roadway and we were to deny this application, how would they even go
Well, they
about
just have to
remedying
put it
this?
back.
They just
They'd
put
It
the
wasn't-
rocks
Yeah, they'd have to put the rocks back. I mean,
okay.
basically, yeah, it's, like I said, it's a farmer's stone wall, so they're, you know, they were, basically the farmers, when they cleared the land, threw the rocks into a pile to create stone walls to keep the critters in, and they would have to put it back. And the reason why the restriction is there is because what will happen is if we don't have the restriction there, the stone walls actually get taken down, sold. You know, we've gotten, there's areas in other parts of the state where people actually go in and buy the stone walls, and then we buy them and, you know, landscape-wise, and they put them in, and they build stone walls in, you know, other towns. So Millis put those in to preserve the stone walls that we have, to preserve the rustic charm of the town, and that's why it's there, so. But the process would be that if you were gonna go and change it, you would ask first, which, like I said, they probably didn't know, they didn't do it.
And, Mr. Chair?
Go ahead.
Bullard Lane is a scenic road, which the residents were the ones that would petition for it to become a scenic road, which means that you can't cut down trees along the street without town permission, which the residents that apply for that, you know, they get all the residents in the town, in the street to apply for it, but it's not generally something that most people think of with a pile of rocks.
Right. And with one other point is that, you know, that approval probably happened years ago. So if somebody moved in, they may not know the fact that they were on
A
a
scenic
scenic
road.
road, so,
Mr. Chair?
go ahead.
While some of the stone walls historically are really quite nice and structurally, aesthetically, from reviewing the letters that were sent by all the neighbors, the fact that all of the Ash's neighbors have taken the time to write and say that they feel the fence is a improvement over the original stone wall, and that they are all in favor, I don't see a reason to not grant. I would be in favor of granting their request, the approval.
Go ahead.
Sure.
Yep.
I'm not opposed to granting it, but I don't feel that the letters from the neighbors should carry any weight in that decision. If they took out the entirety of the stone wall and the neighbors preferred a vinyl horse corral fence, that takes a lot away from the neighborhood, and it's counter to the scenic road rules that we have, you know, to try to maintain a character to the town. The neighbors might appreciate it, but it's not part of what the community wants. So in this case, I don't have an issue. It's a small gate, but just that, you know, in future instances, I don't think simply the word of the neighbors should carry a lot of weight.
No, that's a good point. I mean, I hadn't thought of it that way, but that is a good point. Thank you for that, appreciate it. All right, does anyone else have any comment? Oop, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman?
Yep.
Mike Giampietro, Building Commissioner. We received a call, well, the secretary received a call back, I don't know how many months ago this took place, I forget now. But anyway, went up and looked at it from either a neighbor or somebody from town noticed it. So I went up and looked at it and saw that it was, you know, disturbed without a permit. So that, you know, triggered off to my job to notify you, notify the owner, if they're in violation of the bylaw. So just to you know, let everyone know, we got a phone call by somebody that the stone wall was being disturbed, and they wanted to know if they had a permit. So it's my job to go up there and look at it. So as a neighbor, I have no around the corner, and part of being in the stone wall, right, I think the gate looks pretty good. So
Yeah.
that's all I have to say. Thanks.
Great, no, and we, like I said, we thank you for that. I mean, the thing with all of these bylaws and stuff is, you know, we're trying to preserve something or do things a certain way, and if we don't follow the rules, then, you know, all sorts of crazy things will happen. So, you know, it was a good thing that we brought this up. It may be inconvenient for the Ashes, but unfortunately that you know, that's, now if they decide to change something in their front yard, they will be the first to know that they should apply for a scenic road permit, so. Go ahead, Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Scott Fusey, 411 Union. If most of the neighbors have written a letter, and I think the gate is nice, that's fine, but I think in future references, like it's been said, you know, just do the right thing when you're doing something. Come before the board, get the right paperwork, do what you gotta do. Rules are rules, and it doesn't take much to do that. You're better off doing the right thing than the wrong thing, so just for future, hopefully people are watching, just do the right thing, get the right permits, go before the board, do what you're gonna do, go before the building department, but do the right thing. It makes it a lot easier in the long run. Thank you.
Good, thank you. And like I said, to follow that up is, you know, with some of the stuff, you might want to, people may want to do a little research just to make sure that what they're planning on doing is, you know, doesn't have any implications. So, I make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All right, motion's been made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. And Camille, what would we have to do to?
You just have to do a letter giving written permission to
Okay.
the planning board, so you can just vote to approve the request.
All right, so I make a motion that we approve the request to post-date a gate installation at number 71 Bullard Lane.
Second.
All right, motion's been made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, great, well, thank you. All right, next item on the agenda is special permit application full-width site approval public hearing. 1375 Main Street. This is going to be continued without discussion until 5/10/22.
You have to set the time,
Yeah.
how about 7:45?
Okay, so we're gonna set a time for 7:45 for that.
Town of Millis Office of the Planning Board notice of public hearing. In accordance with the provisions of Chapter 40A, Section 11, Mass General Law, the Planning Board will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, April 12th, 2022, at 7:40 PM in the Veterans Memorial Building, Room 229, 900 Main Street, Millis, on the application of Tony Verzuza, Adversa Wellness, Inc., 1375 Main Street, Suite B, requesting a special permit with site plan approval of the zoning bylaw of the Town of Millis for proposed manufacturing marijuana establishment in a portion of an existing industrial building located at 1375 Main Street, Suite B, Millis, Mass. Assessors Map 21, Parcel 5, owner L&L Realty Holding. A copy of the application and site plan is on file in the office of the town clerk and can be viewed on the town website. Any person interested or wishing to be heard on the application should appear at the time and place designated. Richard Nichols, Chair.
All right, and like we said, this is gonna be continued until tentatively 5/10/22, which is our next month's meeting,
Because you need to make,
at 7:45.
you need to make a motion to close.
All right,
Not to close it, to continue it.
I make a motion to continue the public hearing.
Second.
All right, motion's been made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, great, thank you. Next item, Regency at Glen Ellen, minor modification request, proposed retaining wall behind lots 307 and 308. This is not a public hearing, so we can actually just go through it. Over at the Regency at Glen Ellen, there was a request by some of the homeowners, and Glen Ellen told us to install a retaining wall to enhance the backyard of one of the, two of the properties. Basically, the grade drops off quite a bit. They wanted to put a retaining wall in. Part of the way that it was set up with the developer was that they would have certain flexibility in how the whole development was built out, because they weren't sure how the units were gonna go in and what unit style it was gonna go in. So basically, they've submitted engineering documents to Beta. They've been reviewed by that and the Conservation Committee, which approved that.
They did.
And the Conservation Committee approved the modifications. So basically, this is a field change that we just need to take a quick peek at and discuss and decide what we want to do. Guess I think that's what it is. Are there any questions from the board?
Good, Mr. Chairman?
Oh, go ahead. Yep.
Want me to stick around for anything else?
Nope,
Are you
we're,
good with me?
no, we're good, thank you.
Okay, good.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Have a good one. Yes, bye.
I do want to take this piece of paper, blow it up though, so I can see the map.
That would be,
Mr. Chairman,
Yep, go ahead.
how high is this wall?
That's a good question. It's, I mean, it's been engineered, so, they had to submit, anything over 4 feet has to be submitted to the building department, so.
Any fencing required? or anything
That would
like
be, same thing, would be under the building code. If there's any drop of more than, I'd like to say 30 inches, they're required to have a guardrail.
Huh? Okay.
So that would be all handled under the building code. And if you look at the map, which has the red circle on it, you can see the lines that go behind that, you see the buildings and then the lines.
Sure.
The lines are gradients, so it tells you
Yeah.
what the drop is, so the closer together it is, the more of a drop it is.
Yep.
So basically what they're trying to do is, you know, put it in so they'll have a backyard,
Right.
so.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
do we happen to know, I understand it's at lots 307 and 308, but in terms of the entire development, do we know where the location of the wall is? Like how, is it tucked away in the
Yeah,
development?
it's way in the back. It's way in the back. If you look at the development, it's on the left-hand side, basically over towards Holliston.
Yeah,
And it
okay.
faces the woods.
All right.
So I drove through there, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, and, you know, it's basically, when you get in the back there, you're in the woods. So,
Okay. All right.
Mr. Chair,
yes, go ahead.
do you have any idea what the distance is between the back of these properties where the wall is going to be and this dwelling? Because it
Oh,
looks as
that's-
though the dwelling house that's,
No, that's that's a long distance. So over here,
yeah,
Yeah,
do we
that's-
know what the distance is? I mean, is this something that,
that's 2 or 3 football fields at least, maybe even 4.
Okay.
You
Oh,
know
all
what I'm
right.
saying? It's a,
yeah,
it is.
no,
quite a
that was,
distance,
yeah, no, that was just my question as
Yeah.
to, is this something that the people in this house on Orchard Street are gonna look out
No.
and see the back of this
There's actually,
retaining wall?
because I actually know the people that live there,
Mm-hmm.
so they have woods behind them and also a hill. So there's
Oh,
a hill
okay.
that goes up, and you probably could see the roof line of the house behind them.
Oh, all right,
But it is quite a ways back.
okay.
No, that's fine. No, just making sure everybody's good. Because I saw it online, so I read it. I've had a head start. All right, you guys all good?
It's okay with me, yeah.
All right, all right, so I make a motion that we approve the field change as presented for 307 Plimpton Farm Road and 308 Plimpton Farm Road.
Second.
All right, motion's made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, great. Okay, next item on the agenda is 1375 Main Street Ecology Parking Lot Canopy Solar Project. Review of as-built plans. This discussion is going to be continued to 5/10/22, which is our next meeting. So we are going to continue that hearing.
It's not a hearing, it's
Oh.
just an
Oh,
approval
okay,
of
which-
as-built, it's just gonna be bumped to that agenda, but
Okay.
it's not a public hearing.
All right, so we'll be bumping that till then. And so now, we are going to take a break.
Do you want to do the minutes and
Oh, yeah, I guess we
the
can do
subdivision rule discussion while we have the time?
That's a good
Yeah,
point,
we
yeah.
can do that.
All right, let's do the approval of minutes. I make a motion that we approve the minutes from March 15th, 2022.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, great. And then update of subdivision rules and regulations discussion. So with that, which I don't know if we have anything on it, our subdivision rules have been developed quite a while ago, and a lot of things have changed since, they were initially put together. So it's about time that we go ahead and review them and make changes to all of the subdivision rules to get them up to date. So we may be changing, adding, deleting. To do that, we'll have to get funding to do that, so we'll have to, Camille said that we'd have to put that in for the, next fall
Well,
budget?
The FY '23 budget is already put through, so
Okay.
I don't know, I suppose we can get a
We can
cost
ask.
from, yeah. we'll
Well,
have to
the
see
other thing
what
is
it would cost.
We could find out what it could cost,
Yep.
and, well, I mean, we're doing stuff, permanent building committee, and, the town's paying for
Yep.
it, so, I mean, there are general funds, and this would be something that would be important.
Yep, the first step would be to get some estimates as to what it
Okay.
would cost to
All right.
have an engineering company do it,
Right.
like they do, so.
Okay, so, we'd have Beta go through and have them take a peek, so we need you guys, we would need to approve the, request to update those, and then we present that to the, town administrator, and like I said, I don't think we should wait for another year to go by. I think they should be able, I can't imagine it'd be all that much money to walk through all that, and go through it, so. You guys have any thoughts?
What's involved? We need an engineer,
We'd have Beta go
review.
through. Beta would go through and they'd look at, what we had. I mean, I've talked to Melissa and, some of the things we do, like, the road widths, we do them as waivers. We may change that so it's not a waiver. It would be just part of the general bylaws is that you would be able to do this or that, and it would be written in, so we wouldn't have to do a waiver each time. And they would also, like, change the materials. A lot of the plastic culverts and things that we do now, we have them as concrete. Everybody's doing plastic now, and we may, determine that we want to switch over to those, just because it's more cost-effective. They're as durable, if not more durable than the concrete, because they don't fall apart. And there's things like that that we may want to think about doing.
Would we also be exploring, Mr. Chair, like dimension requirements, setbacks, or are those pretty much set in stone?
Those are zoning, those
Yeah.
would be more
Okay.
zoning things. Ours would be more, I mean, we could do that.
I only ask because of the changing characteristics and nature of Millis, right? It's obviously a growing town. I don't know when these rules and regulations were last,
Right.
amended or, revised, so I'm sure a lot's happened in the last, I'm sure a lot's happened in the last 30 years.
Yeah.
In terms of development. I know, we obviously have our zoning bylaws that go through the process, but, I'm just curious as to what this covers and,
No, I mean, I think it could cover whatever we want. I mean, that's a good point. I think the other thing is because we're the MBTA community,
Right.
they're looking to do, and nationwide, they're looking to work on zoning to allow more building of multiple family units and, more closely, more dense
Right.
building by right.
Yep.
And that's in several states, they're actually adopting that. I think Colorado is one of them. ADUs, mother-in-law apartment, or separate buildings that people can live in. They've also had that because they're looking to, older people and, which I'll be pretty soon, may need to have a smaller place to live in, and it isn't necessarily effective for a builder to, buy a lot, build a, two-bedroom house with, 1,300 square feet, because it's just not cost-effective. But if you could put one on your own property, and we had it zoned, some way so it made sense for the town, that may be something we want to think about. So, which we actually do have an ADU in Millis. But it may be something we may want to refine. And the other thing that we probably ought to do is, which I brought up earlier, is the tiny house, old tiny house thing. And, not that that would be in a subdivision, but,
That's,
yep, go ahead.
if I could just clarify something, you made an amendment last year to the subdivision rules and regs with some of the drainage that was outdated. This was last amended April of 2002, and it's strictly land subdivision rules for subdivisions, really doesn't have anything to do with zoning.
Okay.
It's just drainage, streets, things like that. There's old forms in here for when we used to do road bonds, which now it's a tripartite agreement. They don't do covenants and road bonds. It's like a lot of it has changed. There's forms in here that are very outdated. So after talks with Melissa, it's just probably ready for a good overhaul. But it doesn't have anything to do with zoning.
Okay.
And any changes to this document is just done by a public hearing and advertising. We don't have to go to town meeting, nothing like that, so.
Great.
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead.
As the chair pointed out, we do have, as an MBTA community, we're going to have to make some revisions to our zoning. The Economic Development Committee is following that right now, and we're waiting for the final guidelines from the state, because they passed the law, but they haven't passed the guidelines in how to fulfill the law in true state fashion. So there was also discussion last year that we had with our building inspector, because there are some things in the zoning bylaw that conflict with the zoning map. And we were going to begin to try to sit down and try to review all of that. We postponed it because our building inspector, who really needs to be part of that, had to take some time off for surgery. So we were getting to that point where we were going to start it up, and then the whole MBTA thing started. So once the guidelines come out with regards to MBTA, the Economic Development Committee does intend to approach the Select Board for them to put together a committee to take the guidelines and start incorporating those requirements, one of which is going to be, there has to be a section that has at least
Certain number of acres.
15 units per acre, at multiple housing that you have to have by right. But they're looking at it, the state is suggesting, at least of right now, that most likely those sorts of changes would be done as an overlay district, as opposed to going in and changing the underlying zoning regulations. You can put in zoning, so when that begins, we may want to, there may be some things in here, or as you said, the tiny house, we may want to ask the Select Board to include that. Obviously,
Now,
this,
Would that, with the Economic Development Committee and the Select Board, would we be involved in the discussion on that? Because
Well-
I am not lockstep with the MBTA and the cool roads and whatever they have there, because although, I applaud some of their concepts, I'm not sure that, I'd like it to fit for Millis.
well, so number one, the MBTA thing is not an option. It's not like
No, it is an
with-
option, because we could just say, we're not interested in the funding. We're not interested in having extra bike lanes and
No,
extra parking.
you're talking about two different bylaws. You're talking about two different laws. You're talking about the complete streets.
Right,
And
but
that,
that's tied to that.
no, there is a law that has so the extra funding that you're talking about, if we applied, which the Select Board has approved, to apply for complete streets, then actually, I take that back, the select board has approved it. So we are adopting a complete streets program. And by adopting it, we are granted access to certain funding, grants and loans. The MBTA thing is completely different. That was a law that was put into place by the governor as part of actually the COVID and transportation, all of these overhauls. This new every town that is an MBTA town, community, and we are determined as an MBTA community because we abut a town that has an MBTA access, because we abut Franklin, we abut Norfolk. And actually, half of the towns that are determined to be MBTA towns don't have direct where they're abutting. We do not have the option to say, we don't want to be part of the MBTA, which Millis has looked into in the past, because as an MBTA community, we have to pay into them and we get nothing. But everyone who is designated as an MBTA community has to follow this.
I thought the both of them were connected, that's.
No, the two have nothing to do with each other. As far as the economic development, so the Economic Development Committee just happens to be the one at the moment that's paying attention to the new bylaw, the new not bylaw, I shouldn't say, the new law that has gone into effect. I am not just a member of that, I'm the planning board liaison. Anything that, whether it's the Economic Development Committee, the Select Board, any other committee they put together, it has to come through us. We have to we would have to approve it. We could, whatever that committee comes up with, we could recommend changes to. So that's, and we could also request of the select board that more than one member of the planning board be on that. The request would be, as the economic development liaison, that there's the assumption that I would be, we could ask that it
I think
that
the
it
younger people
involve.
should be involved in it.
We absolutely, we could
I
ask
think
them,
the
they're
youngest
multiple.
person.
Yeah, we can saddle Josh in with that. And it's going to be, there will be multiple hearings,
Yeah.
but all of that, but whatever
My concern is, as long
whatever.
as we can be heard.
No,
that's all.
whatever recommendation they make, just like any other bylaw, any other zoning bylaw, it would have to come through to this board. We could approve their recommendation and send it back to we can do three things to select board. We can tell the select board that we approve it. We can tell select board that we approve it with modifications. Or we can tell select board, we think this is trash, and tell them to go back to square one. And even if the select board then said, nope, we agree with it, we're gonna put it on the warrant, as planning board chair, you would go up to town meeting and say, this board does not recommend this for A, B, C, D, and E. So the planning board will be
Yeah.
very much involved. It may turn out, when we get the guidelines and we take a look at them, we may go to the select board and say, we don't feel this is something that requires a whole big committee. We feel this is something that the planning board should be responsible for. So
Yeah,
just because the Economic
right.
Development Committee.
No, and it's not a power struggle. It's
Oh, no,
what
no,
I'm
no.
afraid of is that on some of the things that have come from the state are, good intent, however, it's trying to put a square peg in a round hole.
Absolutely, because a lot of these regulations, like with regards to, just the MBTA, that covers, downtown Boston, it covers areas, further west that are even more remote than we are, and what works in Brookline, what works in Boston may not work in Brookline. What works in Boston and Brookline, probably not gonna work here. So once the guidelines are out, I will keep you abreast of that, and this board abreast of that, and it may be something that we feel, just because the economic planner feels that the Economic Development Committee should be in, but doesn't mean that's who's going to make the decision. You know, we may very well have grounds to say, why put a committee together when you've got an elected board that the town has elected this group of people to do just that?
Right, so then the only other thing was not.
And then
now that
we'll,
we're-
we'll make you in charge.
Yes. So,
Because you don't have anything else to do, Josh.
You're right, you're right. Not too late to resign?
No,
Preemptive.
no. So you have 2 little kids, so you work 70 hours a week.
repudiation, Nicole? That's
No,
not,
no, no.
so
We're
but
grooming you to take over.
the other thing we should also do, but I think so, since we're not gonna be able to address the, you know, the little houses and what was the other thing that I brought up earlier?
We're talking about, we're talking about zoning, right?
Yeah,
The difference
zoning,
between-
so
yeah.
I think that maybe those,
Setbacks,
yeah,
lot
maybe those
dimensions,
couple of
yeah.
zoning things that we may wanna address also.
Down the line, yeah, because.
Yeah,
just do
as a
ZBA
different-
and
as a
then do
different
it at
thing,
town meeting.
right.
But yeah, it was just a thought, again, because
Yeah.
the nature of the change of the town. I mentioned that we need to look over our master plan. It's old. And so, like,
Yes,
this will all, I'm sure this is all just gonna be the catalyst that brings us to,
yeah, exactly,
hopefully.
that's exactly what's gonna happen on that.
Yes, there have been multiple conversations with multiple individuals about the master plan that,
Well, technically,
I'll
we're
just-
supposed to redo it every 10 years.
and it was done 20 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
Right
It was
around
done in
the same time the
2000.
subdivision rules, I think.
yes.
Right.
So,
Great. Let's
But-
get busy.
that being said, not to step on your toes,
Go ahead.
Mr. Chair.
No, go ahead.
This board does have the right to propose any bylaw change. If there are things in particular that any of us find, then I think it is our responsibility for one member to bring it to the attention of the board and say, this is my, this is my opinion, this is what we have, this is what I think is wrong. Can we discuss it and see if it would come to, we can draft any bylaw changes. Doesn't mean it'll pass, but we have the authority to begin that process on anything in this book. Right. So we can, and I don't know why we didn't follow through with when you first started talking about the little houses and,
We get
I
busy.
mean, that was.
Yeah,
you know,
but, I
but
mean,
that-
well, the thing with that, that's kind of died down a little bit.
Mm.
But still, the thing is, it's kind of like having, we have an adult entertainment zone, which they zone for, so it's over near the junkyard.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not ahead of the issue when it comes up, then you have to react to it. So
Correct.
if we're ahead of it, and we say, hey, we've seen this, it's in other areas, and we want to be able to figure out the best fit for Millis, it's better to be ahead.
Well, we may want to, now that there is going to be some sort of, as I said, most likely, an overlay district that will be developed to meet the criteria of the MBTA, we may want to look in, because there could be provisions in that overlay district that have to do with apartments and little homes, like the ones in Medfield where they're like townhouses.
Well, those are
So-
cute, yeah, the ones they're actually they
That
did
on
it-
27.
Yeah, I mean,
I think that whole
I
neighborhood,
think
that whole
it's-
section
yeah,
looks,
they
I've
did it
driven
really
through
well.
there, it came out
Yeah.
really
yeah,
nicely.
it's cute, it's a cute
So
little
that might be
place.
something we want to start looking into.
No, I mean, but the thing is, no, they're very closely together, they were nicely done. I mean, like I
Right.
said, I drive by myself, I go by and they're cute little houses,
Yeah,
and they're.
They've been
you know,
nicely
they're-
maintained,
and
it's
they've
in a
been-
nice
yeah,
little,
They did a nice job. So, I mean, if we could do something like that, that would be an asset to the town. You
we
know.
might be able to incorporate some of those concepts
Mhm.
into this MBTA, because it's not saying how it has to be done, but it's allowing multifamily by
By
right, which we don't have in Millis, and which a lot of towns don't have it by right. They want it to be done through special permit, which just makes the process that much harder.
We're pretty easy, though. all in all. All right, we're, perfect timing, because we're at 8:10, don't mean to cut you off.
No,
but No,
that's-
thank you for
let's
that
go.
update, that was great. And now, being 8:10, we have a special permit application for earth removal public hearing.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
as with last time, I am in a butter to Lot 5 on this special permit request, so I will be recusing myself.
Oh, George, this is like the old, you want me to read it, or you want to read it?
I'll read it.
Okay, old school.
I don't know if I like that comment. Town of Millis, Office of the Planning Board, notice of public hearing. In accordance with the provisions of Chapter 40A, Section 11 MGL, the Planning Board will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, April 12th, 2022 at 8:10 PM in the Veterans Memorial Building, room 229, 900 Main Street, Millis, on the application of Michael Curatola Silva Development, 65 Cape Road, Mendon, Mass. 01756, requesting a special permit under Section 13, Special Permit Conditions, Paragraph F, for removal of 4,500 yards of sandy loam for construction of 2 homes at lots 5, 6, and 7 Blueberry Lane. Assesses map 39, parcel 65, 66, and 67. And a copy of the application and site plan is on file in the office of the town clerk and can be viewed on the Millis website, Planning Board. Any person interested or wishing to be heard on this application should appear at the time and place designated. Richard Nichols, Chair.
Well, that brings back memories, having George read the announcements.
Last one.
So this application was to be continued without discussion to our next meeting,
Because the correct plan is still pending.
because they had an issue with the plan. So, and we will be discussing that at what time?
8 PM.
8 PM. All right, so I think beyond that,
Make a motion.
we have to make a motion to continue the hearing.
Second.
All right, motion's been made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, great. And that being taken care of, do we have to do a meeting for, we have a meeting set up? Are we
We have
ahead?
our meeting May 10th, and we need to set up we need to set up a June meeting.
Okay, ooh, I have 3% in my phone. Let's hope I make it. All right, so June. Anyone have anything specific? Oh, I'm on vacation in June.
I'm on vacation the 3rd week.
Hold on.
June 7th,
No, actually, I'm on vacation
Well,
in
our
May.
first-
No, I'm on vacation in May, I'm good.
May 10th, 2, 3, so June 7th,
I thought, I was saying the
That's
same
fine.
thing, yeah.
does that work for everyone?
June 7th, good for everybody?
Yep.
Mhm.
When is the actual election? The 9th?
The
9th
9th
of
of
May.
May, yep, and 2nd is town meeting.
All right. Does anyone else have anything?
So-
I make a motion to approve, adjourn.
Second.
Oh, sorry.
There's someone in the back.
Oh,
I was just coming because you sent me a letter about the 8:10 meeting, so, that you just had,
oh, okay.
Blueberry Lane.
about the loan that was on lot 5, 6, and 7.
Okay. Well, we are not going to discuss that now because the applicant asked to have that pushed off.
But I just come up closely to what you said.
Yep. The applicant asked to have that meeting postponed, so we're not actually going to discuss that, so sorry about you having to come down.
Okay.
It will be May 10th.
And if you leave your information, Camille can get in touch with you. So,
May 10th at 8 o'clock.
Good. Thank you.
all right, so I'm going to make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Before we do that,
Yes, go ahead.
this may be George's last meeting. I just wanted to take a moment
Oh.
to thank him for his time.
Oh, I forgot about that. Oh, yeah, well, yes, thank you,
So,
George.
Where's
I
my
didn't even,
champagne?
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that. That was, yeah, no, George, thank you. Actually, I'll let you bring that up. No, I've appreciated your input, your passion.
Some of my- some
No,
of my
that's good.
class comments?
No, your passion. I've learned a lot from you. I've appreciated your mentoring over the years. I've only been here for I don't know, what, how many years have I been here?
I've been here for 11, so you've been here for
10, so 10 years. You know, I enjoy going to the meetings because you're gonna be here and you're a good man. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, we are trying to, I think, once Josh gets in, and then the May 10th meeting, you guys have to make a, what do you call it?
recommendation.
A recommendation to bring you back as an associate, which will make my wife happy.
Okay.
Right.
Well, whether you are here as an elected official, the associate, I have to second what Rich said. You have been a huge mentor for me in 11 years. We've had some very interesting conversations. No, you've always pointed out different, you know, sometimes we agree, sometimes we don't, but you're one of the few people that I've ever had some very in-depth conversations on what's going on without it being heated or personal. And it's always been intellectual and educational, and I appreciate everything that you have done for the town as well as myself.
Thank you. It's been a long time. So, but we'll come back as a guest, so to speak.
Yeah, we're not letting you leave that quickly.
Thank you, Alan, for bringing that up. Appreciate that.
Mr. Chairman,
Yep, go ahead,
Scott,
Scott.
411, I just want to echo the same thing, George. I've been coming to quite a few meetings, and there's been many times it's been standing in the room, and you've been chair, and you've been professional, and you put your heart into this town and made sure that every developer and every development that's gone through downtown has been done right and professional. And I think we look at the downtown, and we have you to thank. You've held every contractor and everybody's feet to the fire, but I think everybody that's new on the board has learned a lot from you, so we hope that you're back here as an associate. The town needs you, isn't it?
Well, thank you.
It needs your
So
voice, so,
That's the plan.
so thank you very much.
Okay, thanks. And I wish Josh good luck.
Oh, thank you. Massive shoes to fill, George. Thank you.
All right, and on that note, I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, good night, everybody. Thank you.